hate me today because I don't have a cold opening because the guy that's had been having us uh, that's been sponsoring us didn't want to do an ad today. I guess he's not in business anymore. He tried to do like a sand company, a rent a neighbor. I don't know. He had some wacky ideas, so I don't think he's in business anymore. So I don't have one this week. I think he tried to do like an inflatable dartboard. Um, then he was going to try to launch like a football bat. But I was like, dude, there's no such thing as a football bat. So we don't have a sponsor this time. You want to talk to that guy for me? See where he's at.
I feel like that is a Dylan didn't put together a cold open, so this is his last minute. Oh shoot, I should say something for the episode.
Well, I did consider doing it, but then I was like, well, I don't have any like I didn't really have any good solid ideas, so I just thought I'll just wing it this time and see what I can come up with. So I'll have to try to do I'll have to try to have something better next time. But I mean, we here's the cold opening. We're gonna bring some light into people's life because you know, there's things in the world that aren't so great sometimes, and we just hope to be a beacon of sunshine for people and things that you can learn from. And where's this world headed, right? And specifically, I'm talking about the future of fitness and nutrition and all that and everything that we do. So hopefully, this can be a good escape for people in a world that is sometimes not always the best. So I just hope you guys can tune in and learn something from this, and then take what you will from it. So other than that, how did the past week go for you?
It was very busy. I barely survived, and I'm glad it's a new week.
When I was so my wife and I, for Brad knows this, but anyone listening, the reason I'm asking that is my wife and I we usually do one couples trip every year, and we went to sunny Isles Beach, Florida. It's close to Miami, and just kind of hung out. It was just the two of us. We didn't bring any of our kids. We just had a very relaxing time. But the amount of supercars that are down there is just ridiculous. And I almost feel like Brad probably got tired of me sending him pictures of these Ferraris and Lamborghinis at all, and like McLarens and all. But what a wild, just like every 10 minutes you see these cars that where I live, you can really see. So just I feel like getting kind of back in the groove today after being in a place like that is take some time. So, but luckily I feel comfortable and I'm at home now, and we can this will be an easy transition. But anyways, let's um let's scoot, because I think this episode, when we talk about where we are headed, we've talked about AI a lot. We've talked about the gadgets people wear and where we're heading the next 10 years. And in a coaching business, right, Brad, how many there's other companies out there that are switching to AI coaching, right? We don't do that. We are still one-on-one based. We're always going to be human to human type of coaching. So for us, this is a topic that is very relevant, and people that want to know, where's Macros Inc. going? Is AI ever going to be something that you guys incorporate? We can talk about where we're headed and where I think the industry as a whole is headed and where the world is headed. And not that we have the roadmap for that, but there are clues that can give us some best guesses as to where things are going to go. So that's what we'll be talking about today. Like I said, is with AI on the rise, is that going to replace us? I saw Optimus in Florida, by the way. That was crazy. So what, Brad, when you think about the future of fitness or our industry, what's the thing that comes to mind for you?
Um,
Or is it things?
it's so this is an interesting question, and I'm actually probably going to answer this in a way that is very different. Because I get asked this question a lot. So I sit on some boards in the industry, and people always ask, "Oh, what's the next trend in fitness? What's the future?" And one of the things I always think to myself is the real trends get decided by the people. It's not like the oligarchs of fitness decide what direction we're going. Is the consumers behave with your feet, right? And they're going to tell us what the future is. And so we are either going to go down a path where people kind of re-evaluate what matters to them and lean into the personal aspect of like what it means to try to chase being healthy, being fit, etc., or they're going to try to offload slash outsource everything. And a lot of that's just going to come down to like culture and what we think and what we value. And so it's probably going to go one of those two directions. And they'll like the outsourcing thing is like, hey, let's lean into more AI to tell me everything I need to do. I'm going to rely on my wearables to tell me if I'm doing things right or wrong. And it's more of like, how do we want to engage with our own journey? Is it we want it to be like a very personal, very ownership driven, very take control versus do I want to outsource everything? So I think it's really going to come down to what decision and what path are people going to want to take. And I mean, it's sort of like the stock market. Like I can't really predict all of human behavior, right?
Yeah, of course.
I think we obviously have the predilections to go the route of outsourcing everything, right? Like we try to automate everything in our lives. We try to do less work. We try to take all the decision making out of our hands. And I've talked about like why sometimes that's actually really good. And so I think that's going to be continue to be a big driver. But I do think at some point it's going to have to come back to personally owning a lot of the journey. Because one of the things that I think causes a lot of disconnect, and here's why I think like the invention of Fitbits and Apple Watches like didn't meaningfully change the direction of human health, right? In fact, it's probably a little bit worse than it was when those are invented. Is the decisions you make and the lifestyle and behaviors you live that push you either down a path toward health or not health
Not health. Yeah.
are decisions that are made based on how it feels to do the things you do, right? And the AI and the data and all these things, like they just never get it. They don't know what it's like to be hungry. They don't know what it's like to be like, oh, you've hit 6,000 steps today. You need to hit 10. And like, what does that feel like to get that message and how do you make that decision? Now, there's probably at some point, like maybe those things will get better at that, but it's more of it. At that point, it's more of like, oh, this is how we optimize the message we send someone so they do something. They don't really know. They're never going to know what it feels like.
There's an argument that eventually it will or it could if it becomes sentient, right? Do you subscribe to that? Like, do you think that'll ever be achieved where it can actually understand you?
Mm, no,
Why?
because you'll never know what their subjective experience is.
Well, that's no different than other humans.
Uh, sort of, right? Like, let me flip this around. Let me ask you the question a different way. You love your dog, right? And you love your children. And those are two very different types of love, right?
Mm-hmm.
You your dog has the physical expressions of love for you, right?
Yes.
But why would you assume that the dog has the exact same feeling for you when you know that your feeling of love for your dog and your kid are different?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't assume that.
But so then why would you assume silicon can have the exact same emotions as you as a human?
But yeah, I'm not saying it could have the exact same ones. It would be its own. It would be relative, right? Like, but so what I'm
But
saying
so then
is,
it wouldn't know what it feels like to be you and be hungry. It would
it.
maybe know what a approximation of what that feels like, but it wouldn't know.
Okay, so you're right. So you're saying I think we're saying two different things. You're basically saying that it won't know what it's like to be you, which is true. And what I was just saying is that I don't think it's impossible that it can get to that point where it has its own feelings and thoughts and its own subjective reality, right?
But
Like
then
I
that
don't think
would
it would be
make
the
it
same as
even
us, but it has its own.
more alien than it is now,
Yeah, that's true.
right? It's like
But your
read
point
the
is because it's not going to be like us, or because it can't be like ours, like it can never, therefore it can never relate to a human like other humans can. Is kind of what you're saying, right?
it will be different.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I totally can get on board with that. I think you're right.
So
Um,
yeah, I mean, AI will be a part of the human future, but I think
yeah.
there's always going to be a gap.
So when we say the future of fitness, I don't just mean gadgets, of course. I mean that's part of it, but it's bigger than that. It's really about how technology and human behavior come together to shape the way we exercise, the way we eat, our recovery strategies, and how we live healthier lives. Right. So I think AI AI coaching, and have you done any AI? I've not been through any AI coaching yet. Like I've not really, like, I've just not had that experience. But I think AI coaching already means things like, yeah, you have predictive, it can give you these predictive analytics. It can adapt training plans that adapt in real time. It can give you nutrition guidance but it's all about patterns, right? Like it just learns your patterns. That's really what it is. Where the things that you wear have evolved from what started as simple, step counters to things like, well, we have continuous glucose monitoring. We've got sleep analysis. So like it's not just an upgrade, right? Like it's potentially AI brings with it a whole new way of approaching health, I think. And so there's a
Yeah.
lot of positive that can come from this. But so would you say this is evolution, or is it more of a revolution in how we think about health?
Mm,
Like to me, like is this the next step in human evolution? Like integration with AI.
I mean, so you basically just asked five very different questions,
I I went off there, but yes.
right? I mean, so here's let me try to unpack this. The tools we are developing in the current vein in which we're developing them are going to improve our ability to diagnose and
Yeah.
treat disease, right? So set that on one side. Like we're going to be able to detect things way earlier. We're going to be able to detect things with much more accuracy. We're going to be able to develop better like treatments, whether that's drug-based treatments, interventional-based treatments, surgical treatments, like whatever. I think those are all true. Now, when we talk about like health and evolution versus revolution, what I think is true is the path we are marching down as a society is directly antithetical to what it means to build a healthy body and a healthy life, right? Like, let me just give you some pillars of what I think would be like an optimally healthy life, right? You move a lot throughout the day, just general movement, right? You exercise moderately to vigorously every day. You sleep well. You eat an appropriate amount of food that's generally relatively healthy, quote unquote healthy, right? Healthy eating patterns are lean meats, fruits, vegetables, some, starches, some nuts, some seeds, the occasional whatever processed food you want. But
The 80/20.
yeah. um you have great relationships with people, like real relationships in person. You spend a lot of time outdoors. You don't drink a lot of alcohol. You don't engage in a lot of substance abuse. You don't smoke. Our day-to-day lives are going in the complete opposite direction of that, right? We spend more time inside. We spend more time in digital relationships.
Yeah.
We move far less. We exercise less. Um, there's some data suggesting that the current generations are drinking less. Maybe that's true. I think substance abuse, though, is going up, like recreational substance abuse. I'd have to go look at the data. But like we're legalizing drugs, like all of these things.
Yeah. Right.
So, yes, AI technology is improving our ability to practice modern medicine in a more effective way. But from a future of like fitness and health,
Yeah.
as a general society in this giant ship, we are headed in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. That's an interesting take because I think so. You're saying it's essentially making us. I'm just using few words here, but like sort of encapsulating what you said is it's making us less active. It's making us. It's we are relying less on ourselves and autonomy and more on external tools to do things for us. Right?
Um,
Is that kind of what you're suggesting? Like it's not. I mean, I
sort
think
of. I mean,
you're saying is it a net positive or net negative thing in your
is what? Like general
opinion?
society today?
Like the emergence of AI and how what we're doing with it.
I think it
Is
depends
that
on
a
the
net?
outcome, right? If you're measuring like our ability to do Western medicine more effectively, it's probably going to be better. If we're talking about living a overall healthy lifestyle, it's probably going to be worse,
To me,
right?
it sounds like it's neutral.
Mm,
Because if it gets us to practice medicine better, that's great. But if the downside to that is we now have more sick people, it doesn't. It's like a wash.
it, do you think the current direction of technology is going to have us spending more time or less time outdoors?
Less.
Do you think it's going to be having us spend more time or less time engaging in meaningful relationships in the real world with people?
Yeah, it'll be less. It already is.
Do you think it's going to be better or worse for our mental health?
Worse.
Do you think it's going to encourage us to have more or less physically active hobbies?
Yeah, it's physical activity will go down.
Yeah. So, acute modern medicine that's designed to solve health crises may improve, but the general well being of humans, I think, is probably being pushed in the wrong direction, unless we're very intentional about the lives that we live,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I was kind of having this conversation with a friend of mine. Um, it has never been more difficult to live your life structurally in a way that aligns with your values, right? Like, if I were to give you 5 things and ask you to rank them in order of like what you put them on the value chart, let's go um, family, wealth, health, career, spirituality, whatever that means to you. Like, where would you personally rank those in order of most important to least important?
Got to be family. It's got to be health. What were the other ones, real quick?
Um,
I know you mentioned
Wealth,
spirituality.
career, spirituality.
So I'd go career, wealth, spirituality.
Okay.
That's just me personally.
Yeah. Think about what like just living in the modern world requires you to spend your time on, right? In order to just like have a house you live in requires you to spend more time working
Hmm.
to generate
Right.
money to live.
Right. Right.
Groceries more expensive relative to the average income.
Yeah.
Um, so like all of the things that are going on right now put more pressure on our inability to live our life according to the order of what we value, right?
I think that
So
and
that's going to become more and more difficult.
for sure. Like that's going to be an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, unless you change the perspective, right? Unless you go, okay, how do I use these tools to maybe be more efficient at work so I can spend more time outside? So I can spend more time with people I care about, or I can spend more time going to the gym, where I can spend more time cooking, where I can have my own garden. Like all of these things It's really going to come down to how you use these tools. And I think for the
So
average person, I think it pushes them away unless they're very intentional.
so let's dive into that then, because I think that's a great point. It's how you use it. It's like everything. It's like it's like anything. How you use it is what matters, right? So like right now, the tools we've got trackers. So macro sync, right? Our tracker. It's you've got other ones that are available. You've got trying to think of some like Apple Fitness. You've got these AI driven coaching platforms that are starting to make an impact, right? People use these things to track calories, macros. People monitor their heart rates with it. We've seen these sleep optimization tools, stuff like that. But the reality is, again, those so no tool is perfect, right? Sometimes they give us great data. Sometimes they give us too much data, and we look into it more than the average person knows how to use. I would say, right? And sometimes the accuracy can be questionable, um, but they don't replace that personal touch of a real coach who understands context and behavior, which is what we do, right? This is why our coaching is always going to be personalized, one-on-one, human to human, because like we've been saying, as great as these tools can be, they don't replace the most valuable thing or the thing that we put the most value on, right? But back to the how you use these tools. Of all the tools that are available, which ones, like what ones do you find the most helpful or least useful? Like if people are going to pick something, what do you think in a world where there's all these emerging technologies, what would you pick? What should people use?
Mm,
Because I think I do think the tracker is a valuable one because I think it gives you a really good understanding of food
it,
energy content and the
it's a
relationship
very
between how
good
much food you need.
it's a very good tool to build nutritional literacy,
Yes, great
right?
way to
I
say
mean,
it. Exactly.
like 100 years ago, which 1925, like that's fairly modern society, right? Like
Yeah,
that is modern
it's
human
not that long
society,
ago.
right? It's like
Yeah,
besides computers and rockets, like not that much is different about human life. Like they had food,
right.
they had houses. I mean, refrigeration was just kind of becoming a thing. But the reality is the choices of food you had on a daily basis back then were fairly limited. So you kind of like knew the food you were eating, right? Now,
Yeah,
in a
for
given
sure.
week or month, if you spend a lot of time eating out of the house, like you're exposed to so many different foods and so many varying levels of calorie densities and
For
things. And
sure.
so like developing a database in your brain of like what food is from a nutritional perspective,
Pretty
tools that help you
crucial.
do that are great, right?
Hmm.
They can also be really helpful. Like if you're traveling and you go to pick something up, just knowing like, oh, this is a 2,000 calorie meal versus an 800 calorie meal when you may not know. I think
Yeah,
so. I think those kind of tools, I think tools that bring awareness to your behavior can be helpful, right? I think
yeah.
step counters are actually fairly helpful. I think food loggers are actually fairly helpful, but all they
Hmm.
simply are tools to objectify our behavior.
Yeah.
Is that the right objectify? Make
Or
objective?
to
Uh,
direct our behavior.
objectivify our behavior, whatever the word's going to be, whatever the conjugation of that word is. So I think things like that. I think also like some of these tools can be very helpful for like giving you an analysis of yourself. Like you could feed all this data
Yeah.
into some sort of chatbot and be like, "Hey, give me like what how would you assess my day-to-day life?" And it can do a fairly good job of just like giving you an objective measure. But
Hmm.
then like how you problem solve, I think that's still best done by a human,
Well, I
right?
think that's the.
Like, did you ever watch the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix?
I can picture the cover of it. I know what it is. I never saw it though.
So basically, he has this AI chatbot that's like a voice in her ear or in his ear. It's Scarlett Johansson's voice if you haven't seen the movie. So,
Oh, okay.
which there's a whole story about that in Chat GPT and Sam Altman stealing her voice, and there's a whole saga about that. You should go read that story. It's kind of wild. But like so he develops like a relationship with this AI agent, right? And what's really weird is we have this intuition of like that seems bad to us, right? Like, why have an AI wife when you could have a real wife, right? And there's a lot to unpack there, but like the relationship with a person versus the relationship with a thing that is a approximation of a person is
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
it's I can't even go through all the like psychology and philosophy about that, but like when you just know your gut reaction is, ooh, that's weird, right? Like think about what that means. Like let's say you were to spend 30 years building your life and relationship with this AI person, right? You got to the end of your life. Like how much value and like pride would you feel about that versus like, hey, I built this life with my actual physical manifestation of a wife, like a real human.
Hmm.
And so I think if you kind of take that and you apply it to like the coaching space, I think you sort of end up with the same thing, right? The relationship, the value, the accountability, the trust, the empathy, like all of the real things that you feel from another human who is on this journey with you versus the digital piece, I think it's just a very different experience.
Yeah. I This is sort of unrelated and we don't necessarily need to go down this rabbit hole, but one of the things that you'd said just kind of made me think about, I don't know, I'd have to look this up globally, but isn't right now I believe the we are not our birth rate is not exceeding how many people are dying. Like we're not at population replacement level, are we? Are you looking? Yeah, let me know if you're looking
Um,
that up. I don't think we
I
are.
think it's at like 2.1 to 2.
Okay, maybe that's what it is. I started thinking about, okay,
Okay. So it's um yeah. So it is two. Man, I was pretty close. That was a good guess. It was 2.2 births per woman in 2025.
that's globally.
Yeah, and so obviously you have to have a man and a woman to make a baby.
Well,
So that's
I
2.2 per two people. Um, and so that's
well, so
down from
it's barely.
yeah, it's down from
That's
4.9 in
crazy.
the 1950s.
Yeah, so it is declining. So the reason I thought about that is eventually,
Mo
are we going to be outnumbered by AI? Like that's
well, technically we already are.
yeah. I suppose it depends on what you're counting as.
That's interesting.
Uh,
Over half of all countries are below the 2.1
below,
replacement level needed to maintain a stable
dude.
population. That's
That's
crazy.
wild.
Shoot, I better go
Wow.
pop out 8 more kids.
Hey, I've done my part. Okay, I've done my part for
Well,
the
I
world.
mean, I don't think I can say I should pop them out because I lack the requisite
It might be.
biology to do that. But we
Yeah,
also won't tell my wife I ever used that phrase.
I was gonna say. I was gonna say Marissa might be offended. Um.
uh,
Okay, moving on. The well, this is kind of related, but like there is sort of this myth that well, I don't know if it's a myth. Some people think that AI will completely replace humans eventually for like everything, and obviously, if everything encompasses coaching as well, I think the reality is, and at least right now, I think within our lifetime, I think the only thing that AI is ever going to do, I could be wrong, we'll see, but is for us anyway, it's going to be that AI enhances what coaches do
yeah.
because you can't replace the accountability, the motivation, the human connection that drives real behavior change, right? And then so I think I'll shift gears a little bit here too because I don't want to forget this thought, but the technology that we have, like the tools that people use, whether it's a tracker or like something that you wear, the reality on that is you don't want to get too caught up in the data because those so those types of tools, what they're really good at is showing trends, right? Not perfect numbers. And so if your watch, like just as an example, says you burned, I don't know, 600 calories, don't take that as gospel, right? they're really just it's data sets and it's kind of what you do with it that matters. And so I think, but do you think people actually get healthier from those tools, or do you think it's more like they just is it? And maybe this is what matters more is it just gives people a sense of more control, and maybe that's the thing that matters, right? Like maybe that actually is the thing that makes them healthier, or are they, or are we getting objectively healthier because of them? To me, it's more about the control. I think at least giving this having a sense of I have more control over my life that is maybe more
Yeah.
beneficial.
I mean, I think that the answer to that is just in the data, right? Like, has the Apple Watch, the Fitbit, the Garmin, the iPhone that's in your pocket that tracks your
Hmm.
steps,
Hmm.
has that solved the health issues we face?
No,
No,
exactly.
right?
No.
Um, it's sort of like just watching your looking at your screen time on your phone. Does that do anything? No, just it can either highlight that you're spending way too much time on your phone
Hmm.
or you're not spending much time on your phone.
Yeah.
It's like I think just the data itself is never going to be the solution, right?
Yeah.
Especially when like everything comes down to behavior.
Yeah. It's what you do with it, right?
And so how do you take the information you have and layer that into what is your next behavior based on this data?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a great point. It comes down to actions, and like you said, it's what do you do with that info? These are just tools. It's how you use them.
Yep.
The obviously the good part of this is that there is tech that has some obviously major benefits, right? Like the personalization of things at scale. Like imagine every workout, every meal plan, whatever it might be, is like tailored to you and updated in real time. That stuff can happen. The other thing we've talked about that is beneficial is early detection. Like I know you've mentioned this before. Is AI can with all that AI can predict, it could potentially predict fatigue, uh, risk of injury, maybe even and it could certainly spot poor nutrition patterns because that's what it does. It looks for patterns right before you feel the consequences. So there's some definite intriguing possibilities in there. But coaching that I think I don't want to deny the fact that look sometimes that yeah there are people in the world who can't truly can't afford one-on-one coaching. Of course there are, and so I think there are some tools that things that used to be too expensive for people and out of reach could become affordable and available to those people, and so there is benefit for those people that can't benefit from that one-on-one. But so I guess yeah, I mean if you had to pick, give me your overall, like what would you say is the biggest benefit before we move on, just to kind of cap off everything we've talked about. Is there a single game changing benefit to all of this that you would say? Like what's the singular benefit for us when it comes to AI and the where we're headed?
Um, man, singular. My brain just doesn't really
Maybe
work
that's a
that way.
maybe that's a bad question.
I mean,
I
I think
just
it's it's obviously earlier and better detection of
yeah.
problems, which I think one, like we know a lot of people will change behaviors based on like a precipitating event, like some
Yeah.
crisis, right? Like,
A lot.
oh, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, the rock bottom, the like, hey, I got sober because I crashed my car into a tree. Like
Right.
those things, if they're found earlier, it gives you more
More
time
time
to
to
engage
act.
in behavior change.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a real benefit.
Yeah.
I think the ability to solve like technical problems for people, like, oh, it's dinner time. I want to eat healthy. Give me some suggestions for like what I can make tonight that fits my macros or fits my nutrition plan. I think those are all super powerful tools, right? I mean, that is not the value of a coach, right?
Yeah, for
If your
sure.
coach is really just telling you, hey, you have X amount of calories left, eat chicken, broccoli, and rice. Like, if AI can replace us doing that, I'm all for that, right? Like, that is great. We should do less of that as coaches and more of coaching
Hmm.
should be rolling up your sleeves and like solving real
Strategies like
problems with your
human.
clients, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that's really beneficial. I think as it gets better, the commoditization and improved accuracy of information in the world will be very good, right? Like the
Yeah.
less time we have to spend telling people that dumb things are dumb, I think is really going to be helpful, right?
Yeah.
Now that's going to take time because these things are still not super accurate. They get bias wrong. They don't always synthesize the information correctly. So like all those things are going to come, but I think that's also going to be a big benefit. I think just, for us as professionals and content creators and things like that, like having to spend less time doing the technical stuff that we shouldn't be doing anyway. Like if I can have AI read an entire client's like data set from the last
Right.
9 months,
And
and
tell
it can
right.
be like, hey, here's been the average weight, here's where the
Hmm.
plateaus happened, here's the accuracy of logging,
Yeah,
here's their consistency. Like if you can get that synthesized and you can save yourself 6 hours of going through an
for
entire
sure.
client's logs and like handwriting how many days they logged, like those are all super beneficial tools.
For sure.
And what that means is it's just more time to do the work that actually matters,
For
right?
sure.
Like
You're
I think about,
augmenting.
yeah, like I think about, you know, the work that I do on a day-to-day basis. If I can spend less time like reviewing emails and making sure that web pages have links that work and like organizing spreadsheets, and I can spend more time thinking about like strategy of like, okay, how do we actually improve the value of our coaching? Okay, what are the
Hmm.
actual problems our clients face? Okay, how do we change the coaching program? Strategically, like, okay, the economic environment has changed. How do we get more clients? How do we make
Hmm.
clients profitable so we can actually like afford to run a business? Like if I can spend more time thinking on those things and less time dinking around with spreadsheets because it takes me 4 hours to get something to work, like it's if you can better allocate your time and capital,
I think, yeah,
that's what you need to do.
yeah. And I think that's really, I mean, we're there too. Like it can already do a lot of that, which is, it's kind of wild. Don't you think that it's wild that we're living in this time right now? We're actually experiencing this. Like, did you ever think that we'd get there?
Here's
10 years ago, I would have never, but like, I don't, nobody saw AI coming like this. At least not the average person.
mm,
You cannot tell me the average Joe saw this coming 10 years ago.
not the
Like,
average
there's,
person.
yeah, that's right. Like,
Um,
people in
here's
the industry, sure, but
here's my biggest, not my biggest worry. Here's a big worry I have about my life. I feel like I will have been born in a time where I get just a taste of what we could have done as a human species, and I'm just a
I,
little too early that like we're not gonna quite be an interplanetary species. We're
yeah, you
probably
might be
not
right.
gonna like have official evidence of life on another planet. Like
Yeah,
I'm just gonna be a little too early, right? It's probably like the people who um like died just before commercial airlines were available. Like they're like, oh yeah, humans can fly, but I'm never gonna get on a plane. Like
yeah,
just ah
yeah. Well, I think you could probably say that about every period, right? There's also a lot of cool stuff that we have been able to experience that people before us would have been like, "Oh man, I'm going to miss that. I'm not going to make
yeah.
it." Couple more things before we wrap up the episode. I think let me just let me just kind of summarize where we're at and kind of everything we've talked about. I think what you're saying is, at the end of the
I'm a
day,
hater. Is that what you're saying?
I was not going to say that. At the end of the day, like so many things, balance is the key, right? AI and all these tools, they're meant to guide us. Don't let it dictate every choice you make, right? And that's where coaches still play a huge role. The best coaches, we're not going to ignore those tools. We'll welcome them and we'll help our clients use the data wisely and to not get overwhelmed, right? So it's like we're going to come in and help you trust the trends because I was talking about how these are good at showing trends, not trying to be perfect. Let AI suggest things, but always apply human judgment, right? Never forget that
It's like
real
this
change comes
the
from.
scene from The Office where they blindly follow the GPS and drive straight into the pond.
Oh, I didn't see that. Wow. Who was driving? Was it Michael?
I think it was Michael. I know
That's
Michael and
funny.
Dwight were in the car, and I think it was Michael driving.
I never saw that episode. But
Such a great show.
well, okay, so but yeah, change comes from habits and behaviors and having that emotional support. So like for anyone listening, use your tools to track patterns, forget about, perfection and exact numbers. Let AI help you with your blind spots. I'll probably sound a little bit like Brad here with this terminology, but don't outsource your health decisions entirely, right? Like combine your tech with real humans, real coaching, the community that you're in, and self-awareness. So um for anyone listening, Brad, is that wants to use these tools right away, is like anything you would add to that, or like where should they start? Anything you would want to tack on to all of that?
Mm,
Or like yeah, let's just go with a starting point. Would you say that w- the easiest tool to dive right into, or the one that's going to be the most beneficial, would be a tracker? To me, that's kind of
yeah,
what I would say.
I would say things that can like give you measurable,
Insight.
quantifiable data about yourself, and also that
Yeah.
help you build like knowledge about your own behaviors. Like I use the phrase nutritional literacy a lot. Like I think that's really important. Um,
Yeah.
it's sort of like financial literacy, right? In the modern world we live in, like having some basic financial literacy is really important. Like, what are interest rates? What is compound interest? What are amortization tables? What is an appreciating asset versus a depreciating asset? What are the tax advantages of different accounts you can invest in? Like basic financial literacy, right? Nutritional literacy, right? What is the energy content of my food? What is the macronutrient content of my food? What is a serving size of this food? Like the serving size of a steak and the serving size of butter are very different. The serving size of
Yeah.
fruit and the serving size of nuts, very different. Like 100 calories of fruit is like an apple. 100 calories of almonds is like 9 almonds. Like just having a basic understanding of those things is really important in the modern environment.
What do you think? This is kind of an off the cuff question, but it's relevant. What do you find is the most depressing thing about volume of food versus the amount of calories in it? To me, it's got to be either peanut butter or like nuts. I think almonds is a big one.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. I mean, the thing for me is like a lot of those things you just don't. I mean, I don't just pull out the jar of peanut butter and eat like a
hey,
whole.
yeah,
Like I don't
no,
just
I
grab
get
a
that
spoon. Like if I
for
make a
sure.
PB and J, it's probably like, oh, it's probably a little less peanut butter than anticipated, but like it doesn't ruin my life. What I have found is really interesting is the calorie density of like packaged sweets. Like if you go buy a cookie from somewhere, it's like 600 calories for a tiny cookie. You're just like, what? This is crazy. I thought this would be like 200. You're like, nope. So you have two of them. Or I don't know if you remember like Costco muffins.
Yes,
I
yes,
think they've
yes.
changed their muffins. I haven't bought them in a long time, probably 10 years. But like they used to be like
Like
750
five.
calories for a
Yeah,
muffin. I
probably.
was like,
Yeah,
dude, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah. There's ones that they sell at my
But
gas
the
station, locals.
chocolate chip ones that I used to just
Those are
crush
good.
with a glass of milk in high school,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
dude, like early 2000 Costco muffins were so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Here's here's a question for you. Do you let me actually let me think of how I want to ask this, because you're a biostatistics guy, right? So and that is now correct. I'm summarizing, I could be wrong, but biostatistics is
Just
basically
statistics
the
usually used
science
in
of,
biological data.
right. So the statistics we use to predict certain things about life, right? Is that, or
Mm,
to analyze biological or living organisms? Is that fair to say?
sure.
So how, like, is that going to, I don't know how I want to ask the question. Like, Do you think AI will ever be able to truly understand human biology at a deeper level than we do ourselves? And the
Yes,
things that you've
100%. I mean,
okay,
we already are using it for that, right? I mean, you've got to think about how complicated biology is.
I mean, I wouldn't even, yeah, I wouldn't
I
even know
mean,
where to
the
start.
only way we've been able to untangle a lot of the genomic information we have is from very early statistical models, AI tools,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah, that's true.
genes that interact with genes that we would have no idea the the epigenome,
Yeah.
metabolomics, like all of those things are using like advanced statistical models, machine learning, because there's just like our brains just can't do that kind of math.
So do you think AI will replace like the lab researchers or just give them like superpowered tools?
Just, I mean, superpower tools, right?
Yeah. And how are we've got to be pretty close to being able to run like large scale experiments like simulating, thousands of trials before you test it on people, right? Like I'm sure we're already doing that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've been doing that for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
we
pretty
call that like in silico analysis. I mean, we've gotten
okay.
so advanced that like you can create digital representation of like a million drugs, right? Like you can be like, oh, here's this chemical structure, and you can
Yeah,
anticipate what it's going to do to a specific enzyme, and then you can model it. Like an
that's crazy.
A to Z is all computational, and then you test it in animals, and then you test it in humans.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think about. Do you think do you think AI will ever uncover something about like humans or human health or the universe itself that like completely changes how we think about things?
I think it'll be more of like it'll teach us more about our evolution than we would have thought possible.
So you don't think it would be like some reality shattering discovery that completely reshapes how we think about things?
I mean, like, what could it? I mean, what could it
I don't
be?
know. Yeah, I know. I'm well. I mean, I don't know.
Humans.
Maybe the origin of the universe, the nature of the universe. Maybe it figures out what dark matter is.
Yeah, but that's not like human health.
No, just like I meant like humans or just the universe in general, like
Oh,
and
I'm
how
sure it'll
we.
tell. I mean, I'm sure we'll uncover all sorts of stuff. I really hope it like searches through all the geological data that we give it, and it's like, oh yeah, there was a human species or an alien species that was here a quarter of a million years ago, and they built the pyramids, and it's all aliens
No,
all the way down.
what I don't want to happen is for AI to find evidence that there were giants on the Earth, because then Jay will be vindicated and he will never let it down. Like,
uh, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, what's really interesting is like our genomes are a record of our history.
Sure, yeah,
And it's really interesting when you get into like genomic archaeology. It's very, very interesting.
yeah.
I mean, you can track
Well,
the evolution of viruses on the planet based on our genome.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Just because of how it's interacted with
Well, I can't remember
us?
the exact proportion, but a large portion of our DNA is viral sequences of viruses that have integrated into our
Huh.
DNA. Like we have a
Wow.
like that's how retrograde viruses work, right? They
Hmm.
integrate their DNA into yours.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
so,
guess that makes sense.
you know, I mean,
Yeah.
what percent of human DNA is virus? 8% consists of remnants of ancient retroviral infections known as human endogenous retroviruses.
How much? Oh, I just had to Google something too. Oh, so the entire human genome is now mapped. I was thinking that
Do you know who was the guy who led the Human Genome Project?
Brad Dieter.
Craig Venter.
I don't know who that is.
Do you, I'm gonna probably butcher this, but do you know how they did it?
No.
Let me confirm this first before I say something crazy. Um, yeah. So the first genome sequence was sequenced by using a process called shotgun sequencing.
Okay.
So basically, they take a sample of DNA and they can multiply it into a bazillion of them, right? Using
Sure.
like PCR, which is basically copies DNA, and then they just shatter it into a bunch of pieces,
Fragments. Yeah.
and then they just overlap them until they get the order. Because
Huh.
because you can actually sequence them with like, oh, an A goes next, a T goes next, and they just keep layering on them like a puzzle until they get the full thing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's really
Um,
crazy when you think about how they did it.
so I just asked, I asked our friend the AI a question, and it said,
You
as
think
of
it's your
today, is
friend?
as of today, 100% of the human genome has been sequenced, but it took decades to get there. The original Human Genome Project, completed in 2003, covered about 92% of the genome. The missing 8% was mostly highly repetitive, hard to read regions like centromeres and telomeres. But in 2022, the Telomere to Telomere Consortium announced the first truly complete human genome, filling in those gaps. Now, today we have a reference sequence of the entire genome, all 3.055 billion base pairs. That's wild, across 23 chromosome pairs. That said, sequenced doesn't mean we fully understand it. Large portions are still poorly characterized, especially non coding DNA, and variation between individuals adds another layer of complexity. So, yeah,
You want to know
it just
something
seems like,
really weird?
sure.
If I ever have freedom money, which is the new politically correct
I know.
way to
Yeah,
say
you can't say it
FU
on here.
money,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to get my genome mapped, my wife's genome mapped, and my kid's genome mapped, and I want to have it printed in like a really cool large format art with all of the letters and have it slapped on my wall.
That'd be
Like, how
cool.
cool would that be? People walk in, they're like, "What is that?" I'm like,
What the hell is that?
"That's my genetic code."
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That would be cool. Was it you that was talking about?
uh,
I think it was you, where you're like, I just would never want to do. Oh, yeah, it was you.
yeah,
Where you were talking.
23
Where
and
you're talking.
Me. Nope,
Yes,
no.
yes. Because you're like, I don't want to know what someone in my family potentially did 50,
Yeah,
100 years ago. Like, I don't want to know
100%.
that stuff.
Yeah, I I am a. This is my own personal philosophy. There is information in my genetics that I do not need to know. Right? Like,
And you don't want to
why
live with
do
the burden of knowing it.
why do I have the right to go uncover somebody else's secrets that they died
Sure.
with?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And maybe like, okay, let's say maybe my great grandma like cheated on my
Yeah.
great grandpa and I'm the product of that or whatever, and like maybe they had a conversation, they squashed it, and like
For
nobody,
sure.
they decided nobody needed to know. Like, why do then I
Right.
need to bring it up and like tear my whole family apart?
Yeah. For sure.
Like, I
Yeah.
think a lot of people don't think through that stuff. I think they also don't think through like, hey, your DNA is now in a system that can be used to have your cousin caught for a crime.
That's why I haven't done it. Like, I don't want my. What do you? I don't trust wherever I'm sending this. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. So
Plus, plus, there's
interesting.
got to be an easier way to just look at your lineage, even if it's not as quite as accurate. Like, I would imagine you could just go look through public records and find out things
I
about.
think it's a lot harder than you would think.
Is it? Yeah. I guess I haven't
Yeah.
really tried, but
I mean,
all right.
I also have this philosophy on life of, how hard could something be?
Try it. See what happens.
If other humans have done it, I can probably figure it out.
It's not a bad mentality to have. All right. Anything you would want to add to this before we duck out of here?
Um, if the AI overlords are listening to this and they take over the world, please don't smite me. Please let me
That's why you
live
got.
my life.
That's why you got to be nice to the AI.
I
Always
am
treat
nice.
it. You
I'm
know.
very nice to my AI.
Me too. I'm always like, was it? I think it was Sam. It was either Sam or
I always say please and thank you.
yeah. See, I was about to say, it was either Sam or Elon that was like, you don't need to say thank you to the AI because it use if you say thank you, you're basically using like I can't remember they basically quantified like
Tokens.
how much like how much energy you're actually using just to say thank you to the AI and because then it's going to respond to you. So it was like you don't actually need to say thank you.
I will be annoyingly polite.
Yeah, I treat it right. I treat it I don't because if it ever becomes sentient and wants to destroy us, I hopefully it lets me live.
You think Skynet's gonna spare you?
I mean, maybe they got a better chance of it sparing me if I'm nice to it than if I'm a jerk to it, right? Like I think that's
I don't know.
logical.
Depends on what it values.
All right. Well, we're gonna duck out of here. I'm gonna play this outro music, and we will have another episode for you guys next week. But I hope you loved it. And then that's all I got to say about that. Should we duck? Let's hit this play button on this outro.